Elder James Johnson has been working in the Charleston community and beyond for many decades. Now he wants to take his voice to Columbia to serve in the House of Representatives. In this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I speak exclusively with Elder Johnson, one-on-one. Elder Johnson.
Once again.
Yes, sir. So good to see you.
Always a pleasure, bro. Always a pleasure.
Well, you have some breaking news to tell me.
Oh, man. I'm actually seriously considering running for advocacy in the State House, state representative. I've had so many people call and ask me to run. As you know, my good friend, Wendell Gaillard, he support me 100%. Chip Limehouse,
Right.
Those folks I've talked to David about it, and I got calls from Black Caucus wanting me to run, saying that I can be a strong voice for the people in that district and the people of South Carolina. So I'm considering running.
Well, let me take you to the House of Representatives. There's so many issues going on right now. If you were elected today, what would Representative Johnson do for that particular district?
Well, the House itself is probably mostly Republicans, but I think I'll work across the aisle. People like Chip Limehouse, who's encouraging me to run, some of his friends, and so we'll work across the aisle to get things done, and that's the only way we'll get things done, because the House is mostly Republicans, and we have to work across the aisle. But it would be a voice. I would come back to the district and the people of Charleston and South Carolina to let them know the issues. That's the problem, the issues that affects them, and they need to know who is for it and who's against it. So I'll be their voice.
And let me take you back to the day when Seth Weber basically announced that he retired from the South Carolina House of Representatives. You know him for many, many years.
Many years.
Where were you emotionally with that particular news?
I knew about it when he announced it. I knew about it. I knew that Seth always wanted to be a magistrate, a judge, local judge here. I know that for a long time. I think we spoke about it many years ago. So when the opportunity came, I assumed he'd take advantage of it, but I knew about it.
Let me take you to Carlton County, because obviously I was busy all day long. But obviously we went down there for a press conference about a former deputy there who was allegedly attacked by a sheriff's deputy. Talk to me more about this.
Well, Sheriff Strickland, who's an elected sheriff over there, and a deputy that's resigned from the force. Actually, it's a personal dispute, but the sheriff came on his property and, like a raging bull, picked him up, slammed him, pushed his head in the ground, kicked him 3 or 4 or 5 times in his rib and broke his ribs. So he came to National Action Network asking for help. So right off, we requested the dash cams and the body cams. Right. And about 2 months ago, they have not gave us those dash cams, body cams, so they're stalling. So yesterday, we had a press conference there, and 5 minutes before the press conference, the solicitor called me while we were out there, saying that, sometimes things get lost in the mail, and I'm going to get you that dash cams within the next 10 days. So the press put the pressure on them. When they knew we were having a press conference, now they're wanting to give the dash cams. But this happened all over South Carolina. I am the state president of the National Action Network, and I get calls from Greenville and Charleston on issues of police brutalities and racism, discrimination every day. So it's a task that I enjoy doing. This morning, I can make you laugh. This morning, 7:30, I'm walking out my front door. Here is a Carlton County, 40 miles from Charleston, patrol car coming in front of my house. So if they figure they can intimidate me, that's a second thought coming. I've been doing this for 34 years. I don't take intimidation or threat too lightly.
You talk about National Action Network. Obviously, your status was brought up at the national conference back in April. What is it like to continue to be with National Action Network?
My status was never brought up at the conference.
Okay.
We never did. I never spoke to anybody at the conference about my status. Nobody spoke to me about my status. That is the truth. So my status remained the same.
Okay. Because I read an article in the Post and Courier about that. I wanted to make sure.
Yeah, well, it's an article. It's an article in the Post and Courier, but no one ever from National Action Network talked to me about my status, even my statement, so.
And you told me in that interview that you would never ever work with Nelson Rivers again.
Well, I want to apologize for that simply because the people problem is a lot bigger than me in Nelson. So I wouldn't say that I wouldn't work with him. He's in the same organization that I am in, and we've been communicating. So I take myself out of it and put the people in it that we've been working with for many years.
Right.
So me and Nelson is in good standings.
Wow. Well, let me take you here to downtown Charleston, really the city of Charleston. As you know, last week, Greg Mullen was going to announce that he was going to retire in August after 35 years in the police force.
Right.
You've worked with him on many, many cases and issues. What was that like in your mind?
It wasn't a total surprise to me about Mr. Mullen's leave, as I heard it through the grapevine that he was. Chief Mullen's, he was a good police chief. But right now, I've sent a message to Mayor Tecklenburg that I'd like to see a black police chief in the city of Charleston, and I named his name. That chief is Reggie Burgess, who's the deputy chief at city of North Charleston. He has the credentials, he has the education, he has the experience. So I don't think he has to look too far for a police chief. We have qualified police chief here. So to spend that thousands of dollars of taxpayers' money looking for somebody outside of Charleston when we have them right here in Charleston County.
And you know, right now, going on to city council, they're going to ask to, Charleston Area Justice Ministry wants an audit of the Charleston Police Department.
Right.
Do you?
Charleston Police Department don't have good records. Charleston Police Department right now stops more blacks in the city of North Charleston do at the present time. And I think it should be welcome. They're asking for an audit, but they're asking for a different company to audit because they don't believe or trust in the audit that's doing it now. I'm with Justice Ministry 100%, We got to realize is that we live in the city of Charleston and you got a lot of wealthy folks. You got $9 billion a year in taxation, so a lot of wealthy folks down here. And they give these demands to the mayor and the police chief that they want this done, and sometimes police brutality is in the mix of all that, and it's been showing in their record recently about the amount of blacks that they're stopped. So I welcome the audit. That's one way you're gonna get fixed. We don't want to wait till somebody gets shot down by a policeman in North Charleston. In the city of Charleston.
I want to go back down here. 2 blocks from here, something happened that really changed your life as well as our lives. June 17, 2015.
That's the day. I never forget.
It's 2 years now since that anniversary. Where does your mind go to when you think about that 2 years later?
Well, someone called me about that 2 years and asked me, have Charleston changed in this 2 years? In what way? Which way has it changed? I think the people themselves celebrate this every year by holding hands and singing "Kumbaya." We don't want hate and all that stuff. But a week after it's over, they're back to their same old routine. No economic developments for the programs. Gentrification is still alive and well in the city of Charleston. Blacks are not involved in the wealth. You've got a $9 billion tourist industry right here. Blacks are not involved in any of that. You have redevelopment going on where blacks are not involved in the redevelopments in the city of Charleston. So each year go by, we'll hold hands and sing come by year. But when you look at the underlying progress of the black folks in the city of Charleston, it's going backwards. It's not going backwards.
Well, Elder James Johnson, thank you so much for this interview. I really appreciate it.
I hope you vote for me, brother.
I can't do that.
Just joking.
Thank you.
All right. Elder Johnson, tell us like it is. A lot of people don't like it, but I keep. I appreciate you, brother.
Anytime.